You feel like every day is an endless battle. You're fighting your boss, your family, everyone around you. But let me tell you a secret. There's no one else in this fight. It's not the world against you. Your enemy isn't the noisy neighbor or the crappy internet connection. No, my friend, it's you against yourself. The only enemy you have to defeat is that whispering voice in your head telling you you're not enough, that you'll never make it. It's the person you see in the mirror every morning, the one staring back with contempt, doubt, and fear. So how do you win that battle? Every decision, every action, every thought is a strike in this war, and there are only two paths. Master yourself or be a slave to fear. Stoicism teaches us that the greatest battle is not with the world, it's with our own mind. Discipline over doubt, action over excuses. That's how you rebuild belief in yourself. Today, I'll show you how the Stoics trained their minds like a muscle until they became mentally unbreakable. Are you ready to reclaim your confidence? Stay with me until the end of this video, and you'll discover what you're truly capable of. Let's begin. But first, let me tell you a story to help you understand this. The greatest battle of your life isn't with the world, it's with yourself. This is the story of Tomas, a blacksmith who spent his life forging fire and iron. For more than 30 years, his hammer struck anvils, shaping tools, horseshoes, and swords. But what no one knew was, though he forged steel by trade, his mind was quietly breaking down, day by day. Fear ate away at him, fear that his craft was dying, that no one would need his work anymore. Fewer and fewer customers came by. People preferred mass-produced tools from factories. He feared his hands were no longer steady, that age had turned him into a burden. Each day, lifting the hammer felt harder, the metal heavier, the routine more lifeless. He feared falling behind, being forgotten, replaced. But worst of all was the voice in his head, the one that said, it's no longer worth the effort, that the world had changed and he couldn't keep up, that the ending was already written and his time was up. And so Tomas slowly gave up. The forge stayed open, but his spirit had shut down. Every order was a reminder he was no longer himself. Every hammer strike felt like a surrender. Until one day, something happened that woke him up. While walking through the market, he saw an old man sharpening knives at a makeshift stall. Wrinkled hands, steady grip, moving with surgical precision. Tomas, tormented by doubt, approached and asked, "Sir, why are you still doing this after so many years?" The old man looked up, smiled, and said, "A long time ago, I learned what many people never see. The mind is forged just like steel. If you don't sharpen it, it rusts. If you don't face challenges, it weakens. It's not age, not circumstances, not luck that hold us back, it's ourselves." Tomas nodded silently, but he still wasn't convinced. He looked at the knives the old man was sharpening and asked, "But now knives are sold everywhere. Everyone buys factory-made stuff. Aren't you afraid no one will need your work anymore?" The old man calmly replied as he finished sharpening the last blade, "Knives are what I make now, but they're not all I know how to do. I've lived my whole life with these hands, and I believe I'll keep on living that way, one way or another. What I've learned is worth more than any tool, and as long as I have the will, I'll always find a way to move forward." Those words burned hotter than any forge. A costly lesson, Tomas thought. That night, he couldn't sleep. He thought about all the times he'd let doubt take the wheel, about the fears that had turned his life into a silent prison, and then he realized he couldn't keep waiting for something external to come save him. He was his only enemy, but also his only solution. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in a long time. He lit the forge with purpose. Instead of making the same old things, he began to create. He experimented with new designs, studied modern techniques, went to the market, talked to traders, and discovered people were craving handcrafted products, things machines couldn't replicate. He started making unique tools with signature details. He stopped seeing his age as a limitation and turned it into his greatest strength. His experience, his skill, his life story, they became his greatest power. And little by little, the fear melted away, like steel cooling in water. And what about you? How many times have you let your mind hold you back? How many times have you listened to that voice saying you can't, you shouldn't, it's too late? Do you realize that you, and only you, are your own biggest enemy? Today, you'll learn how the Stoics trained their minds to be immovable. They built mental armor to face doubt, fear, and self-pity. Because the real battle isn't with the world, it's with you. But my friend, if you're still here with me today, that's about to change. Before we continue, if this content brings you value, consider subscribing to the channel and becoming a member to access exclusive benefits. And share in the comments, when have you felt like your own worst enemy? Or just type, I follow Stoicism. Let's turn this into a space where all of us can grow and get stronger together. If you feel the positive energy, don't forget to like this video and share a meaningful comment. I'm sure you've fallen into that trap, the trap of looking for the enemy outside yourself. You look around and think the problem is the world, that if circumstances were different, if people understood you better, if luck were on your side, enough. Let me tell you something. The worst enemy isn't out there, it's inside. And if you don't recognize that, you're going to lose the battle every single day. The mind is a double-edged sword. It can be your strongest ally, or the executioner that ruins every step you take. It's that inner voice that holds you back, that fills you with doubt, that tells you you're not capable. Not your boss, not society, not your past, you. And here's the good news, you can turn it into your greatest advantage. Do you think Marcus Aurelius, standing in the middle of a battlefield, was telling himself, I'm just unlucky, the world's unfair, people don't respect me? Of course not. He understood the only power we truly have is the power to master our own minds. That's why he said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But most people do the opposite. They blame fate, their childhood, the economy, or even the neighbor's barking dog. And then they sentence themselves to live inside an unlocked cage because they never face the real enemy, themselves. Picture two soldiers in the same battle. Both cold, hungry, exhausted. One keeps repeating, I can't take this, why me? The other thinks, this is a test, a chance to prove my strength, I'll keep going. Same reality. But their minds create two completely different worlds. The same thing is happening to you. It's not the situation that breaks you, it's the story you tell yourself about it. The obstacle isn't the problem, it's how you respond to it. And this is exactly what the Stoics understood best. He who masters his mind, masters his life. Every time you think, I can't, every time you say it's too hard, every time you delay, every time you doubt, you're weakening yourself. You're becoming your own worst enemy. Ask yourself right now, if your mind were a person, could you live with them? If the answer is no, change it. Talk to yourself with respect and authority. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about training the mind so it doesn't control you. So that when fear and doubt show up, you can look them in the eye and keep moving forward. Because in the end, my friend, there's no enemy more dangerous than the one living inside your head. But now, you know the Stoics' greatest secret. And if you can master it, your mind won't be your worst enemy. It'll become your strongest ally. We delay an important decision. We stop just short of doing what we truly want. The brain convinces us there's danger, when in reality, all that exists is uncertainty. My friend, that made sense back when we lived in the wild, when lions prowled around the tent. But today, even without predators, fear still freezes us over something as simple as the unknown. And yes, I know what you're going to say, we're human, we're wired this way. You're right. But now, fear isn't a predator, it's noise in your head. How many times have you stopped just before acting because you were afraid of what might happen? And how many times, once you finally acted, did you realize, oh, it wasn't nearly as bad as I imagined? That's how fear works. The more time you give it, the stronger it gets. But when you move, it collapses, like a sandcastle in the tide. I know it's not easy, so here's the plan. When fear shows up, use the countdown technique. Don't give it time to take root. Picture yourself standing before a massive golden door. Behind it is a life-changing opportunity. The promotion you want, the project that could reshape your life, or the person you've been meaning to talk to for years. But just before you reach for the handle, a gatekeeper appears. He's not real, but he feels real. He whispers, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. If you fail, you'll regret it. You hear him. You hesitate. You back off, and the door never opens. This happened to someone I know. He got a job offer, a role he'd been chasing for years. But instead of saying yes, he hesitated. He didn't say no, but he didn't dare say yes either. And the company couldn't wait forever. They hired someone else. By the time he decided he was ready, it was too late. The opportunity he'd waited years for vanished in days. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because he doubted himself. The monster of self-doubt is always lurking. The only way to beat it is to act before it grows. That's how I broke free from the voice that once paralyzed me. That's how I learned to stop betraying myself. 2 things help me more than anything else. 1, never give doubt time to get stronger. If you overthink, you'll lose. 2, when opportunity shows up, count to 3 and step forward. Don't give yourself the luxury of staying stuck in your head. Once you decide, act, even if you don't feel ready, because you'll never truly feel ready. We grew up on fairy tales, stories of heroes who were suddenly granted magical powers, princesses rescued by princes. And even as adults, deep down, many still cling to a false belief that someone will show up and pull them out of the mud. A recruiter will magically recognize their hidden talent. An opportunity will fall from the sky. A mentor, a friend, one phone call will change everything. But no one's coming. The world doesn't work that way. If you don't move, no one moves for you. If you don't show up, no one clears the path for you. The only person who can save you is you. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look within. There lies the wellspring of good, ever rising if you but dig." But most of us don't look inward. We look outward, and we blame. We blame our parents, society, the education system, our circumstances, the market, bad luck. But none of those things are in your control. You, however, you are. Look at the people you admire, the ones you call successful. Most of them started from zero. No money, no connections, no backup. But they had one thing, an unshakable will. They didn't sit around hoping to get picked. They picked themselves. They didn't wait for luck. They acted until luck had no choice but to notice them. You may not control where you were born, the losses you've taken, or the injustice you faced, but you always control how you respond. And that is what defines you. Stop waiting for someone to come and change your life. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for someone who understands you. Don't wait for the world's approval. No one owes you that. You have to get up, walk forward, and prove you deserve it. Because if you won't take responsibility for your life, no one else will. When people hear the word discipline, they flinch. They think limits. They think strictness. They think loss of freedom. But that's a complete misunderstanding. Discipline in Stoic philosophy isn't punishment. It's a gift. A tool that helps you stay on course in a chaotic world. It's a shield that protects you from your own weaker instincts. You see, emotions are unreliable. One day you feel fired up. The next, you're tired, discouraged, ready to quit. If you live by emotion, you drift. But if you have discipline, you act, even when you don't feel like it. And that is real freedom, the freedom to do what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline is a promise you make to yourself. It's saying, "I will," and then doing it. No excuses, no delays, no betrayal of your own word. You wake up on time, you train, you study, you get the work done, not because you're in the mood, but because you chose to live responsibly. In Stoicism, discipline is the root of self-mastery. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you let your instincts run the show, you're a slave to desire, laziness, fear. But with discipline, you become the master of your mind and your destiny. A disciplined person isn't someone who beats themselves down with suffering. They're simply someone who lives by their principles and refuses to betray them. And that's where true inner strength comes from. The kind of quiet power that can't be shaken. Don't fear discipline, fear chaos. Fear waking up every day with no idea what you're living for. Discipline doesn't take away your freedom. It gives you the power to choose the life you actually want. Stop wasting another day living in weakness and chaos. Subscribe to Stoic Success now to build an unbreakable mindset, master your emotions, and face life like a warrior. No one succeeds because of what they think. No one is remembered for what they intended to do. People judge you by what you actually do. Every clear step, every real move. And the difference between those who get what they want and those who stay stuck? The first group acts before they feel ready. How many times have you had a great idea, a burning goal, something you deeply wanted, then let it slip by because you told yourself it's not the right time? You said, I need to prepare more, I need a bit longer, I'll do it when I feel more motivated. But really, you were just talking yourself into delay. And every time you do that, you give away your power. Epictetus said, don't explain that you're a philosopher, embody it. The same goes for everything in life. Don't say you want change, act differently. Don't say you want happiness, stop doing what makes you miserable. Don't say you want a career, start creating value. Because action is the only proof of commitment. Look around you. There are people who've been saying for years they'll start a business, learn a skill, work out, write a book, rediscover themselves, but they never do. Not because they don't know how, but because they don't act. On the other hand, there are those who aren't smarter, more talented, or better resourced, but they act anyway. They screw up, they get back up, and the result? They get what others only talk about. Stoicism teaches that you can't control outcomes, but you can always control your actions today. And action, one small move at a time, is what shapes who you are. There's no magic moment, no divine leap, just steady steps, day after day. So if you're serious about something, stop thinking. Do the smallest thing you can do right now. Write a paragraph, make the call, read one chapter, enroll in the class, not because you're ready, but because you refuse to wait any longer. When you act, you reclaim control. You shift from victim to creator. You exit the waiting room and enter the arena where results happen. And that's the only place where real power exists. There's a subtle lie your mind loves to whisper. It's not the right time. And it sounds convincing. You tell yourself you need more time to prepare. That once things settle, once your job stabilizes, once your finances improve, once the kids grow up, once you feel more confident, you'll start. But that's just your mind delaying you from living the life you actually deserve. There is no perfect time. There never will be. Every day you delay, you lose a piece of your energy, a piece of your opportunity, a piece of yourself. Seneca said, while we waste time hesitating, life speeds by. And by the time you realize that, it may already be too late. Ever looked back and thought, I wish I'd started sooner? Maybe it was your dream job, a new skill, a journey of personal growth, but month after month, you stayed in the same place. Why? Not because you weren't capable, but because you believed there was still time to wait. Stoicism doesn't put faith in certainty. It teaches urgency, because life is finite. You don't know how much time you have left. No one does. That's why you have to start before you're ready. Act before everything's clear, because clarity comes from action, not the other way around. Afraid of failing? Of course. But you'll learn more from one bold failure than from a year spent overthinking. Afraid of getting it wrong? Naturally. But mistakes can be fixed. Doing nothing? That can't be fixed. The ideal moment isn't when everything outside is stable. It's when you decide inside. When you step forward even without a full map. When you realize the first step is what unlocks all the others. Ask anyone who's ever changed their life. They'll all say, I wasn't ready, but I started anyway. So stop waiting. Act, right now, with what you have, from where you are. Because if you keep waiting, you'll spend your entire life in preparation mode. And preparing forever without starting is a sweet-sounding trap with deadly consequences. Have you ever stayed somewhere too long, knowing deep down it's not where you belong? Once there was an old eagle who came to a crossroads. Its talons had dulled, its beak had curled, its feathers had grown too heavy to fly. It knew that without change, it would die. But here's the truth. The perfect moment will never arrive. Seneca said, while we waste time in hesitation and doubt, life keeps passing by. But here's the real truth. You don't need to fight change. You need to fight your fear of failure. Fight that voice telling you you can't. Fight the version of yourself who's settled for a life smaller than the one you're meant to live. How much longer will you delay the life you actually want? It's like wearing shoes that are way too tight. At first, it's just a little discomfort, but step by step, it turns into agony. And if you don't take them off, they'll cripple you. So dare to do the hard thing. Dare to walk into the unknown. Not because it's safe, but because that's where you'll grow. And in the end, let me say it again. Decide before you're ready. The perfect time doesn't exist. Success doesn't go to those who wait for certainty. It belongs to those who act despite the doubt. So tell me, are you going to keep enduring the pain of living a life that isn't yours? Or will you dare to change? The choice is yours. And me, my friend, I believe in you. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.